Good day. My name is Jack Hedgecock. I'm a consultant with JTEC, the company that works with your school district on the Medicaid Administrative Match Program. The purpose of this training today is to provide you with the information needed to properly fill out the time study sheet. We want to make sure that this is done properly so that it passes the inspection from DSHS and any possible audits in the future. We want to make sure everything's done nice and clean. We also want to make sure that you understand the activities that you're doing so that you can properly record those and get the money back for the district for the time that you are spending on this. The purpose of the program, the goal of the program, I would say, is to hook up kids and families with medical services. And by the way, the district is reimbursed for the time that staff spends on these activities. And this is why we record them. While we're doing this training session, we recommend that all staff members have a copy of the time study sheet in front of them so they can be referring to that, make any possible notes. They should also have a copy of the Quick Start Guide, which we refer to and which they should have each day when they're filling out the time study sheets. And it's very important that all staff members have signed the sign-in sheet. Everybody needs to have a training. DSHS and auditors look very closely at these items, so make sure that that is done. We also encourage districts and teachers, staff members to go to the JTEC University website. You go to our homepage, then you go to JTEC University, and you will see all kinds of training materials and training options available for you, as well as being able to download your sign-in sheets, the Quick Start Guide, and anything else you might need. Okay, moving on to the time study sheet itself, there are a couple of things that you need to be aware of and keep in mind. All time study sheets should be filled out in ink, no pencils. Auditors don't like pencils. If you make a mistake, do not use whiteout. Again, auditors do not like whiteout. That's just not acceptable. If you make a mistake, which is pretty common, just cross it out and put your initial there, and that's fine. Time study sheets are not judged on neatness. They just have to be complete and done properly. When you look at the time study sheet, you're going to put tick marks. We'll be talking about the tick marks on the activities. An activity must last at least 7.5 minutes to qualify for the tick mark, and you're going to put your time in the far right-hand column in numerical form. So each 15-minute tick mark equals 0.25 minutes. Alrighty, now looking at the time study sheet again, you'll notice that it's pretty well filled out for you with your name, your school, your district, and that information. In the top right-hand column, make sure that the time study day is the proper one. No matter what day you fill this out, you might fill this out on the day after or 2 days later, you must put in the date of the time study sheet of the time study that it is done. You will need to sign your signature and the date. Again, this must be done in ink, and this must be done within 5 days of the time study sheet itself. When it comes to the supervisor signature, the supervisor signature must be done in colored ink. Blue is the preferred color and dated within 5 days of the time study. Supervisors should not sign their own. They must be signed by their supervisor. Again, within 5 days of the time study. So we've gone through the top part of the time study sheet. Let's move down to the bottom of the time study sheet. Look at those two little lines down at the bottom where it says total paid time this day and total time tracked this day. This is your contracted time, and both of these blanks should be the same amount of time. Certificated staff, you're normally talking about 7 hours, 7.25, 7.5 hours, your contracted time. Districts who have different times, such as 7.15 or 7.2, we have a couple of those districts. Your time should be put down as 7.25 because DSHS only figures in quarter-hour increments. So let's make sure that both of those times in both of those blanks are the same. Classified staff, whatever your hours are. Some of you work 4 hours, some work 6, some work 5.5, 8 hours, whatever. Make sure that you know your contracted time, and that's what you're going to put in those two blanks. At this time, we're going to move up kind of toward the top middle to the Code 10 section. I cover the time study sheet this way because I try to cover things that are going to be consistent pretty much each time study day. And then we'll be moving on to the other sections. Now, this is for everybody, paid or unpaid lunches. If you are out of the building for a personal leave reason, meaning that you're paid for that time, for illness, doctor's appointment, dentist appointment, anything that you're out of the building for paid personal leave time, you would put the tick marks for each 15 minutes that you're gone and transfer that time in the far right-hand column. Code 10, system support or personal time. We have two different areas here that we sort of need to differentiate. We have staffs who have a paid lunch. When you have a 30-minute paid lunch, that should be indicated with 2 tick marks. 2 indicates 30 minutes and 0.5 out there in the right-hand column. When you do the time study sheet on the time study day and you have reviewed the quick start guide as you're filling it out, that also qualifies for a tick mark. So all paid lunch staff should have a minimum of 3 tick marks, which would equal 0.75. In addition to that, for districts who have paid lunch and you have your elementary schools who have recesses, this would be recesses not associated with the paid lunch, you would also put a tick mark for each recess. So let's say that you had an elementary school with 2 recesses. The staff member had the paid lunch time. They did the time study sheet. They would have 5 tick marks, which would equal 1.25 in the far right-hand column. Secondary staff members, you do not have the recesses. Your planning time is not qualified under this program, so you would have your 2 tick marks for your paid lunch, 1 tick mark for doing the time study sheet, and that would be a 0.75. Code 10, you do not need to provide the narrative. You just put the tick marks and the time.